Leon Edwards made Kamaru Usman look like an absolute amateur, completely shutting down his offensive wrestling and striking. And I hear so many people saying, but what about Colby, man? I mean, that's a tough matchup. Bro, that's a bad matchup for Leon Edwards. Like, yeah, my ass, bro. Leon Edwards just beat a better version of Colby Covington on the feet. And guess what? Colby's 35 years old, for God's sakes. He's the same age as Kamaru Usman. Yeah, he's not coming off of a KO loss. And I will say, Kamaru Usman looked a little bit tentative, but people are missing the crucial adjustments that Leon made from the rematch with Kamaru to the trilogy that he'll use again to shut down any wrestler that isn't a Khamzat Chimaev, that isn't going to have some serious power on the feet to contend with him, bro. Let's be real. If you're a new fan of Edwards, you don't have to worry about Colby's undeserved title shot. We know that the UFC is just giving him that title to shut him up a little bit, to stop him from suing Jorge Masvidal. They don't want that. That's bad for business. They want Jorge around. They want Colby to just fight. Here's a title shot, man. Who cares if you deserve it? Get in there, and maybe you could become a champion. But he's 35 years old. Leon Edwards is going to use the same adjustments he made to fight Kamaru Usman to completely destroy Colby Covington, and he's got more confidence than he's ever had in his entire life. Sure, he had a shitload of confidence knowing that he could beat Kamaru on his worst night. How do you think he's going to feel after shutting down the second best welterweight of all time and beating him for the second time? He's going to go in there and fuck Colby up. And you guys actually think he's got a chance? As I said, dude, my ass. Sure, Colby is a little bit better at smothering guys. He's definitely a better grappler once he gets a hold of people. I don't think he's going to get a hold of Leon Edwards, and I think he's going to get put out. So these are the adjustments that Leon Edwards made to fuck Kamaru Usman up, to completely shut his offense down, that he'll use on Colby Covington as well. It wasn't just Usman being an old man. No, Leon Edwards shut Kamaru Usman's offensive wrestling and striking down by this crucial adjustment. Whenever Kamaru Usman would pressure him up against the cage, that's where he was able to dominate Leon in the last fight. And this is where Kamaru Usman has been able to dominate every single opponent throughout his career. When he can get a guy like Tyron Woodley up against the cage, and you take away Woodley's power to blitz off the cage and throw an overhand right, that's where Usman can tee off on you. That's when Usman is in boxing range, and he usually these days has a significant power advantage over all of his opponents. Edwards knows that, and instead of trying to counter Kamaru Usman with a shot and try to trade with him, he would wait for Usman to throw something, and he would just skirt right out of there, sprint off the cage laterally, and get right back to the center of the octagon. And we saw this time and time again. Every time Kamaru would try to close the distance, Leon Edwards would wait for him to throw something, and he would just sprint off laterally and get back into the center of the cage. And I don't understand how people watched that fight and thought to themselves, yeah, Colby Covington is going to be a serious issue. Because what happens if Leon Edwards can get the fight with Colby to the center of the cage? Colby doesn't have a 76 reach, a 2-inch reach advantage over Leon Edwards. He doesn't have power in his hands. He doesn't have a phenomenal jab like Kamaru. He's going to get completely destroyed. Leon Edwards has kicks that are so fast you just can't catch them, and he can fight at range, and you just can't close the distance when he's holding his ground. Because if Colby can't have his success pressuring Leon Edwards, he's just going to be a sitting duck on the feet. That's what I think. And you know what? Colby's been dropped many times in his career, and I could see Leon Edwards chewing the legs up of Colby Covington. And Colby, I'm sorry, man, but he's not going to be able to catch those kicks. Another adjustment that Leon Edwards made from the rematch with Kamaru to the trilogy is, instead of just throwing 5 oblique kicks, side kicks to the knee to Kamaru Usman, he maybe quadrupled that and threw like 20, and all of his leg kicks, just regular leg kicks, were at Kamaru Usman's knee level. And we know that Kamaru Usman throughout his whole career has had fucked up knees. Well, how come we don't target it? Because most guys are worried about getting their kicks caught and taken down. But Leon Edwards doesn't have to fear that because he's so fast. And I thought it was beautiful work because it also made Kamaru Usman wobble around the cage, bro. You're taking away his movement. You're making it harder for him to shoot takedowns, to have any success. And he just kept digging out those knees. I think he's going to do that to Colby. We haven't really seen Colby get leg kicked that much throughout his career. And are we just forgetting that Colby's also a 35-year-old man? Yeah, he hasn't been talking about having to walk down the stairs backwards because his knees have been so fucked up for the past 5 years. And he's always talking about running with Cameron Haynes, and he has really good cardio. But let's be real. Leon Edwards is going to do the same thing to Colby in the middle of the octagon that he did to Kamaru Usman. He's going to destroy Colby's legs, take away his speed, take away the power in his wrestling shots. And he's just going to, every time Colby tries to close the distance, sprint off laterally and get back into the center of the cage. Yes, the advantage that Colby has over Kamaru Usman is that he didn't get knocked the fuck out in his previous fight. And he's refreshed. He got dropped by Masvidal, but it's been in a year and a half. But I'm not thinking that that is good for him, because Leon Edwards, for the first time in the latter half of his career, is a very active fighter. He's 31 years old. And if you think that this man had some serious boost in confidence after knocking Kamaru Usman out on his worst night, how do you think he's going to feel after shutting out Kamaru Usman definitively and having 2 wins over him? He's going to feel like he's on top of the world. He's going to get better. He's going to start finishing guys more often. That's what I think. And although Kamaru Usman got knocked out, I really still think he might have a better chin than Colby. Colby's been dropped a lot throughout his career. He's been finished by Kamaru Usman. And you know what? When has Colby ever fought anyone with the striking of a Leon Edwards? Jorge Masvidal is a former lightweight. He doesn't have the same kicking game, and he can't fight at range. He needs to fight at boxing range, and that's where Colby Covington has his success, like Kamaru Usman, because he'll pressure you up against the fence, he'll get close to you, and Masvidal is in boxing range. And Masvidal still doesn't have the gas tank of a Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards has a pretty good gas tank, and he doesn't fight at a high pace because he can just stay at range and make you miss. And it's easy for him to get out of the way. So I'm not worried about Leon Edwards now taking on a guy that is getting an undeserved title shot, because I think Colby's 35 years old. He's going to get beat. Sure, he might give Leon Edwards some tough rounds, but I can't bank on that. And unless Colby gets the ball rolling early in the first or second round, he's not going to win this fight. Once Leon Edwards shuts you down for a few rounds, it's basically a wrap. You know, the guys that are going to beat Leon Edwards are guys like Shavkat Rakhmonov, people that are super tall, that have a long reach, that can fight and kick at range as well, and are also really good with their submissions. Colby Covington doesn't have the ability to really submit guys. We haven't seen that at all. We've seen him dominate fighters on the ground, completely break them and gas them out. And I actually think Colby Covington is a little bit underrated skill-wise. But Leon Edwards has impressed me beyond belief, man. And dude, he completely shut out a guy that is basically the same style as Colby Covington. We're acting like it's just a different fight. No, it is not. Colby's only advantage is once he gets a hold of you, he's a little bit better at draining you. But let's not act like Kamaru Usman doesn't have some of the most control time in the octagon ever. Kamaru Usman's one of the best wrestlers, one of the most effective wrestlers we've ever seen. Colby Covington isn't submitting guys. Colby Covington isn't out here finishing guys, and he's much less dangerous on the feet. He's fucked with Leon Edwards. That's all I wanted to say. If you're going to give him a chance, I would be worried if I was you. I like Colby Covington. I just saw his interview with Submission Radio. It was hilarious. I love Colby when he's in the game, but I'm happy that Leon Edwards is here, because I can't help but get behind a guy like that, you know, when he's been the underdog his whole life, and now he's getting some shine, and he just had a beautiful performance over Kamaru Usman. It was one of the best, most impressive performances I've seen in a long time. So, yeah, completely shut out Kamaru. He'll do the same thing to Colby Covington. What do you guys think? Do you think Colby has a chance? Maybe there's something that I'm looking past. Let me know in the comments. And we got to look at Colby's wins. RDA barely scraped by him, 3-2. I mean, yeah, that was a convincing win, but still, like, that was a really close fight, and Colby didn't at all dominate him. You know, Edwards kind of took it to RDA, kind of just controlled the fight completely throughout the whole way through. And also, on top of that, Jorge Masvidal, former lightweight, Damian Maia, super one-dimensional, Tyron Woodley on the downside of his career, and old Robbie Lawler. I mean, come on, man. These aren't phenomenal wins. If I'm looking at Leon Edwards compared to all of these guys, you know, Leon Edwards just beat Kamaru Usman twice, and he's a big welterweight. He's very athletic. He's in his prime, 31 years old, good chin, decent cardio, made some really good adjustments to be able to fight wrestlers. He's just on a different caliber than Colby's previous opponents. When I look at Leon Edwards at this point in his career, I'm looking at a guy that is extremely well-rounded, skilled everywhere, and he truly is a great example of a modern-day mixed martial artist that can do it all. Colby Covington, he's pretty good on the feet when he can take people down and when he can actually bully them up against the fence. But other than that, bro, I really think he's going to get beat in this fight pretty convincingly, man. He's 35. He hasn't fought in a long time. I don't know. I could definitely see him winning if he gets the ball rolling. I just feel like Leon's just too good for Colby. He's too good. Colby's gotten by for so long, beating guys that are just coming off of losses and getting dominated here and there. And RDA is probably his best win, let's be real, but scraped by him.
Me, I wake up in the morning, I have big buckwheat pancakes with 6 whole eggs, slobbered with butter. If you're using the treadmill or you're using the Stairmaster, don't hold on to the sides. I'm gonna out-train the guy that's waking up in the morning, eating toaster strudels, frosted crispy bites, and soy milk. If you're one of these guys that holds on to the fucking side, I'm gonna shake through my chair. Literally, what the fuck are you doing?
It's time to grind. Whether you're looking to get in shape, put on size, or improve yourself as an athlete, you could check out lucastfitness.com for my lifting programs and nutrition programs. Code MMA for 30% off. The link is in my description.